Welcome back, and it's still TV3Newday. Let's continue with the rest of the show after Johnny's Bites. And joining me in the studio this morning, we've had a good laugh over a few things. Lawyer Edudi Tamaklo, and he represents the NDC. Good morning.
Good morning,
How
Bella.
are you doing?
Oh, by God's grace, I'm okay.
Had a good weekend?
Yes. The weekend was good, and we can only thank God for it. Yep.
All right. Well, we can only thank God for it, and also joining
Bella,
us.
quickly, maybe before you do that, today happens to be the birthday of Sammy Jimfi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday
it is
to him.
only proper that I use this platform to wish our National Communication Officer the very best of the day. I mean, he's doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And even Akufo-Addo, I'm sure we'll call him and wish him a happy birthday for putting him in
Just
check.
wish him, not that he'll
Yes.
call him to join his team.
No. Akufo-Addo needs the kind of accountability. So he needs Sammy JP to be where he is.
Mr. George A.E.C. is the Director of Communications at NADMO, and he joins us as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good, beautiful Bella.
You also want to wish Sammy Jimfi a happy birthday?
Why not? Why I also have a Reverend Opombwedi of the Assemblies of God Church, Asaman Kese. Today is his birthday. Oponchichiku, big brother. Happy birthday. You're a good man. Your spirit is good. You inspire us. Keep it up, and God bless you. Let me wish Sammy Jimfi happy birthday. He's one trouble but exciting individual, and as a government, as lawyer said, you need such people to keep you on your toe. You need the bites,
You need the bites.
You need the bites to be able to, keep your focus on what you
the
promise. Definitely, you're going to feel the pinch, but that notwithstanding, it shouldn't be a daunting task to you. It's to keep you on your toe to do the right thing. So we accept it, and let me say, all the men of God who are interceding for this country, continue doing so, and all our wives, prayerful wives who pray for the families. God continue to bless you. Those praying for leadership, praying for families, praying for individuals. We acknowledge you, and we believe. Continue to pray for Ghana, and we'll surmount this hurdle, as the president said yesterday.
Amen. You're in the spirit.
I'm happy to see lawyer here today.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Wow.
Quick one. Happy birthday also going out to Augustus Andrew Nana Akwesi, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NDC. Well, this is from Nana Akufo. Andrew says happy birthday to you, and also happy 70th birthday to our dad and granddad Philip Owusu Entry. May the good Lord continue to keep you in good health. From Dennis, Samuel, Joseph, and Gloria Owusu Entry. If it is your birthday as well, happy birthday, and God bless you.
30 seconds. The deputy to Sami, that's Kukubahi.
Okay.
The mom turned 70 over the weekend. It was a great one.
Another trouble.
And we bless the womb that gave birth to him, and we thank God, for everything. Yes.
Well, belated birthday actually to Nana Akufo Andrew. He's a Grasag president, so belated birthday to you. Let's move on now.
The president's birthday.
Before you move, yes.
The president's birthday is tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me thank all those who came to support me in the burial of my mother 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it there. You didn't. Okay.
You didn't tell us about it, George.
Yeah, forgive
I
me.
condone.
Especially my Director General and Mr. Bright Apia of Child Rights International. He is a friend to both of us.
Yes.
So.
and Bright is such a solid person. He's been so well in the children's rights, area.
Yeah.
Solid.
Anyway, well, talking about President celebrating his birthday tomorrow, what a birthday present he gave us yesterday, if you see it that way, after he announced some measures or a review of the COVID-19 protocols in the country. This will be the 28th time he's addressing us officially on COVID-19. And among other things, he announced that all land and sea borders have been opened. And also he addressed steps being taken to handle the pandemic on Sunday. And he further announced that fully vaccinated travelers would not need a PCR and antigen test to be allowed entry into the country. Let's listen to what he had to say. We'll come back and discuss.
As from tomorrow, Monday, the 28th March, all land and sea borders will be opened. Fully vaccinated travelers will be allowed entry through the land and sea borders without a negative PCR test result from the country of origin. Citizens and foreign residents in Ghana who are not fully vaccinated will have to produce a negative 48-hour PCR test result and will be offered vaccination on arrival. From tomorrow, Monday, 28th March, fully vaccinated travelers into Ghana will not take PCR tests from the country of embarkation to allow them entry into the country through the KIA, and will not be tested on arrival. Citizens and foreign residents in Ghana who are not fully vaccinated would, however, need to provide a negative PCR test result of not more than 48 hours. They will undergo an antigen test upon arrival at KIA and will be offered vaccination there. The wearing of face masks is no longer mandatory. I encourage all of you, though, to continue to maintain enhanced hand hygiene practices and avoid overcrowded gatherings. All in-person activities, such as those that take place in churches, mosques, conferences, workshops, private parties and events, cinemas and theaters, may resume at full capacity as long as the audience and all participants are fully vaccinated. Hand washing and hand sanitizing points should be made available at these venues. Outdoor functions at sporting events, entertainment spots, political rallies and funerals may resume at full capacity, again, as long as all persons at those events are fully vaccinated. Government will continue to engage all religious and traditional leaders, agencies and institutions to encourage their congregants, subjects and citizens respectfully to be vaccinated to help achieve the 20 million target by June 2022. I'll also urge the media to support this campaign in full.
Good news there. You don't need a PCR test before you set off to Ghana if you live outside the country, if you traveled out of the country, and you don't need to undergo any testing at the airports. Land and sea borders officially have been open, and if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to show any proof of vaccination any proof of test, by the way, and a number of other issues as well. But if you're non-vaccinated, then you're going to have to show 48 hours test results before you be allowed into the country. I mean, all these are a number of things that Ghanaians had been asking for a long time, especially even the land borders. I remember that Honorable Jifa Gomashi was one of the very vocal people who was asking for the borders to be open, and she was decrying the state of the economy of those who lived along the borders. And she said that, well, businesses are destroyed. We cannot go out and bring goods in. Nobody is buying. So we call on President Akufo-Addo to open the borders. Well, months down the line, and in fact, 2 years after the closure, finally has been opened. We also heard from the minority leader in Parliament just last week as well, when he was responding to the finance minister's, statement on what they were doing to show up the economy. He also stated that, well, we expect that the land and sea borders will be open. Let me start off with lawyer Edudi Tamaklu on this before I even go to George AEC. Lawyer, I mean, if you've been asking for the opening of the borders, and we'll start off with the land borders before we even move on to the airport. Finally, some good news, right?
Yeah, I should say that under the circumstance, we can only say that it's a news that we have been expecting for a while now. There had been a lot of spirited calls on the president to open the land borders, long overdue. So if today good sense and judgment has prevailed on the president to now agree to the opening of the various land borders, it's good. We welcome it. I have heard some families doing business along our land borders make the point that, you know, the amount of their resources that have been destroyed within that period requires a certain intervention from government, and that government needs to meet them halfway by way of reviving the economies of the people within the land borders. I pray that government to consider this critically and see how they can intervene on behalf of those people living within the land borders. It's a welcoming news. It should have come much earlier because, like I pointed out on this very platform, the continuous closure of our land borders was not backed by data. Because I have always maintained that even as at the time that we closed our land borders, particularly the border with Togo, with COVID as an excuse, the data clearly showed that we had more cases of COVID than Togo. And so, unless, of course, the idea was that we were preventing the more Ghanaian cases from going to Togo, then the science and the data could not support government decision. I've also pointed out on this platform that the bulk of it was politics. And I made a point, the voter registration, the election itself. And you saw how the military were deployed to the borders. Immediately after the election, they were withdrawn. All of those things put together clearly demonstrate that, look, we may have very good intentions when we set out some of these policy initiatives, but the manner in which we do our politics, sometimes at a very crude level, does not augur well. It's welcoming news that the president finally has agreed to do this. And like you pointed out, again with our airports, you recall that about 2 weeks ago, H.E. John Dramani Mahama had made a call, one, on the land borders, two, on the obnoxious, extortionist COVID testing regime at the airport. I do not know what the status of that particular contractual relationship will be going forward. Per the statement or delivered by the president, are we to say that the agreement between Ghana Airport Company and Frontier Health Solution is deemed abrogated? Is that the claim?
Well,
we need to know,
say that.
because, you see, we cannot create a platform that allows a private individual to make over $120 million from September 2020 to date. As we speak, we have been told that Ghana Airport, particularly Kotoka, they are indebted to ECG to the point that they had to even go and shut down, more or less, you know, take their lights from them. Yeah. The embarrassment to our image, among other things. And to think that the same airports can generate over $120 million into the pocket of a private individual is obnoxious. I mean, some of us felt that COVID, being a pandemic, was going to bring all of us together, create a certain national sense of responsibility in us. What we didn't know is that COVID was going to provide an avenue for some people to extort, to make profit, among other things. And that reminds me of the words of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He made the point that with property-owning democracy, human values are always subordinate to profit. We cannot continue with this. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Look, it's against good conscience to extort $150 from people.
But if you say extort, they were offering a service.
Thank you.
And Ghanaians or non-Ghanaians who were coming into the country had to pay for it. So you are paying for a service. How do you call that extortion? Yes, maybe the price may have been too high.
That's exactly the point.
I'm saying that maybe it may have been too high, but how do you describe that as extortion?
You see, Bella, let me give you a classic example. Okay, so someone knows you are suffering from, say, diabetes, and the person knows that you need insulin, to cure it. And the person priced the insulin at, say, 1,000. The person knows that your life is dependent on that insulin, right? Mm-hmm. So he prices it at 1,000 cedis, knowing very well that plus or minus, you need to get it in order to survive. What went into the pricing? Bella, at the time of COVID, at its very peak, who were the people providing the testing regime? Were there no staffs of Noguchi? And I remember vividly, when this contract was, quote unquote, given to Frontier Health, I spoke to staffs of Noguchi, and they were very upset. Professors in Noguchi, they were very upset because they were making the point that, look, in the midst of the pandemic, when we had no idea what we were dealing with, we sacrificed everything, our family, everything, in order to fix this pandemic. Now, when an opportunity came to even make something, then you bring in a private individual. Look at the time when the company was set up in Ghana. It was set up just around the time when the airports were open. So you can see a clear case of create, loot, and share put in place. Well, when, imagine, $120 million, what it can do to Noguchi.
Did Noguchi have the equipment?
Yes. In fact, Noguchi staff train the people there.
But did they have the equipment?
What
Which
equipment?
is what we're told, that for Frontiers, they had the equipment.
No.
For the kind of capacity
You know
at the
what?
airport.
You know what? Even the training of the staffs of Frontier was done by staffs of Noguchi. Look, at the time when Frontier rolled out this whole infrastructure, that solution, they had not even obtained proper approval and other things from Food and Drugs Board. At that time, Noguchi had that capacity already. The point I'm making is that if there's an opportunity for a state agency to do something, and there exists an opportunity for a private, at least look at the state agency and its capacity first. You don't just go, first of all, into the private person and leave the state. And I'm asking a simple question. What do you think $120 million can do to the life of Noguchi? If people did not invest in Noguchi, when COVID came, how were we going to resolve the problem? And I'm saying that $120 million is almost like $1 billion Ghana cedis into the pocket of a private individual. The same airport company that is hosting that infrastructure or solution is so much indebted that they had to cut down its electricity.
But Ghana Airport Company was making some amounts from the monies that were being accrued. Because again, first 3 months after the airport was open and the testing took place, we're told that some $17 million
and that they gave
over,
them only $1
and they
million.
gave them about $1 million.
$1 million.
So what we need to interrogate
million.
is the kind of agreements between Ghana Airport Company and Frontiers
now I'm even
as
coming,
to why they were being given $1 million.
I'm even coming to that point. Look, the agreement, the so-called agreement between Ghana Airport and Frontier, first of all, is an afterthought.
How so?
Yes, I'll tell you. You see, when the health minister appeared before the vetting, he had made the point that the contract was entered into by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Incidentally, you know the minister is a member of that task force, but created the impression that he didn't know. Then the Attorney General of the Republic also appeared and said, gave some excuses. Then the Minister of State in charge of procurement also appeared and started giving excuses. As at that time, they were looking through themselves. Which of the agencies should we get the contract fixed with? There was no proper contract. There was no proper contract. I mean, how in God's name can the state enter into any such agreement and the Attorney General of the Republic didn't know anything about it? Two, the Foreign Affairs Minister didn't know anything about it. Our Health Minister didn't know anything about it. Because this one, the President was directly involved. The President was... So when they saw that, look, this thing was going to create a huge scandal, they quickly got Ghana Airport to put up a contract to cover up. Complete cover up.
And you know that for a fact?
Look, I am just telling you, that is exactly what they did. And that is why, if you look, of the $150 they were charging there, how much was it going to Ghana Airport per person? How much? Did you know?
No, we weren't told that.
Exactly.
Until we were told about that $1 million and over dollars.
There was no arm's length negotiation, nothing. The whole thing was just quickly put together because the president, knowing that they were going to open the airport by September, they quickly put this whole solution together. And I'm saying that in the midst of COVID, in the midst of a pandemic, you cannot put an initiative that only seeks to profit individuals. I thought the pandemic was going to be a problem to be solved. I didn't know that it was going to be something to be cashed in. So the whole thing had become like a cash-out regime. Regrettable. And I pray, using your platform, that now that the president had, lifted the restrictions, among other things, the last restriction that he needs to take off is the restriction on accountability of how COVID expenses and how COVID funds were utilized.
But there were no restrictions on that. I mean, I remember when the minority asked in Parliament for the health minister to come and account, he said that you need to go through the right process or the right channel, and if you do that, then I will come and account. So how is there a restriction on that?
You know, when the minority, the ranking on finance, the Honorable Ato Forsen, Akando, doctor, among other things, put together a private member's motion for a bipartisan probe into COVID expenses, right? We saw a situation where the majority MPP MPs shut that particular motion down. Obviously.
With a reason, a very cogent reason.
I mean, you have the benefit to disengage this. But I'm saying that, look, that whole misadventure by the MPP majority in Parliament was to undermine a constitutional principle of accountability. You know why they didn't want to do that? And I have said this. If COVID funds are properly probed, NPP ministers of state will voluntarily walk to Insawan prison. They wouldn't require trial. No, I'm being brutally honest. Look, by the time we are done with the COVID conversation, some people will start. They will carry their bags. They will be on their way to Insawan. I mean, for someone to come and tell you, Bella, that within 21 days, right, Kumasi, Accra, Hot Foods and others, they spent 54 million Ghana cedis on it. I mean,
is that too much?
Your own funds. 54 million Ghana cedis. You know how much that is?
It was for hot foods and also for dry foods as well.
Thank you.
It was for hot meals. And then they gave them some food
You
stuff
see,
to also take back.
My
home.
friend.
And land on this so I can bring Mr. George in.
My friend George here works with a disaster company, the Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, right? Ask him that as at that time, if NADMO had gotten 54 million Ghana cedis, how well they would have stocked even their own, program.
But
ask him.
The president himself said that we cannot bring humans back to life. So how do you not spend money on humans when they are in need of food at that point?
Bella, you know what? You see, our president is noted for such fanciful statements, which he doesn't believe in. Oh. Look, at the time when
seriously?
at the time when he said,
you're sitting at the back.
no, that's what even makes it worrisome. That I should trust his words. Yes. Right? Ordinarily, I should trust his words.
Honorable Joyce Bauer,
trust
him to the apples.
I know she does. And you know what, Bella?
Land on this for me, please. I can bring George.
You see, the point I'm making is that, you see, when our president made those statements, it was just around that same time that we're doing voter registration. Just around that same time, we had asked NIA to go ahead and issue cards because we needed the cards in order for people to be registered for the election. At that time, the COVID stopped moving. It stopped spreading. I mean, let's stop this.
Let me bring George in. And maybe first you can touch on the opening of the land borders as well before we go into the conversation about the airport testing regime.
Yeah, thank you. But before I proceed, let me commend and congratulate all those elected as polling station executives and electoral area coordinators across the country on the tickets of the MPP. We believe the battle ahead is still the Lord's. The opening of the border. Interesting submission. Last time I said elsewhere. When I was buried, my mother is from the Volta region, and some few miles away from the village. That's the villages where customs training school is. I got to Mepetoe, Abenase. And then just a few miles away, half the town is Ghana and the other half is Togo. And so when I invited the Agbaja group and the Bobobo and others, and they were playing, an NDC mate of my other master's level said, have you seen the motors that are parked there? In fact, I had not taken notice of them. And he said, mostly they were Togo registered. And so he said, they are here playing for you. And you have no problem with it. Yeah. Now, at certain times, you had problems. What I'm buttressing is the issue of the call for the opening of the border, because a lot of people do transborder businesses in Aflao, in Peto, in other places along the coast. And so you rightly said, Madame Jifar Gomeshi had also made that clarion call, and others made it. The president had stated emphatically that he's counting on the technical advice of the Ghana Health, the technical committee of Ghana Health Service. I said it here before. I've had the privilege of sitting in one or two of their meetings, and it's so professional. It's so the health minister will be there, and then they will make all the interested. There are lawyers who are doctors amongst them.
So the health minister is in every meeting, every COVID meeting?
No, not every meeting. Okay. That particular, the two I happened to be, the formation minister was also there, you know. And the arguments were so solid. And you know, he would say, so do we? They say, no, let's, see, before they arrive on a decision to be sent to the president, then they have thoroughly, you know, delved into the matters. And so I had trust in that technical committee, and they advised the president on the steps to take. These fellow Ghanaians things, most of them is from them. Okay? And so that is, and the president said the issues of the border, he's going to rely on these people. Ultimately, they have given the advice that where we are, you know, he said about 72 cases as of now. No critically ill people and all that. All the COVID centers are virtually empty now, okay? And so it's a progressive report.
When you were in the meeting, not to interject, but when you were in the meeting that day and they still said or insisted that the land borders should be closed, what was their reason for that? Do you remember?
No, that land border meeting, no. No, okay. I have not been in that.
Because I'd have wanted to understand the science behind them wanting to still keep the borders closed.
The arguments has been, you know, importation of COVID careers. Okay, people coming in with a disease. And lawyer made the argument that Togo had less than, still, even less, 2 people. Remember, only 2 people started on the 12th of March.
From the airport.
You get it. Only 2 people.
But they flew.
And ultimately, yes. So what I'm trying to bring across is that in the border towns, these same 2 people can enter Aflao or any of the border towns and go and then begin to spread unknowingly. Okay? And then before you say Jack, we have over 1,000 people infected. And then the rippling effects in our, you know, the clustered communities we have in Ghana. Okay, so these are part of the reasoning why the government thought, look, let's close the land borders and sea borders. As for the airport, of course, we closed it for some time. When we opened, we put measures in place. That's why sometimes I'm not too happy the learned lawyer decided to harp only on the frontier health solutions.
Even before you go to frontiers, back to the land borders. And I remember, again, I'll keep you know, mentioning the fact that one of our own journalists went to the Aflao border. She went to the Lubo border. And she was able to detect about 10 illegal routes in and out of the country.
Of course.
And people were crossing these routes. Even at these borders that were supposedly closed, there were people who were paying 5 cedis, 10 cedis, and were being allowed to get into the country.
By which people?
Whether with a test or not, with the immigration. And I remember that even that another media house also went there, did an expose on them. And the immigration said that they were investigating and they were going to do something about it.
Bella, we deployed the military along our borders. You remember that?
Let me just land, you know, before you come in. So, let's not act oblivious to the fact that there were people who were still coming into the country and leaving our borders, you know, to other countries through the land borders. We were very much aware of that. So if we say that we're keeping it closed so we don't have people crossing in and out and that could lead to an infection, then that means that the closure of the land borders really did not meet its requirement because there were people still crossing.
That's presumptuous.
How is it presumptuous if there are people who are crossing through the illegal routes?
When borders are closed, it's not everybody who has the balls to be, you know, daring to try and pass unapproved routes. Okay? There are some who feel, no, I don't want to get entrapped in the law, so I may not go. There may be daring ones, okay? So how many of them are they or were they? Did your reporter get you the numbers? Okay, you said they're selling 5 CDs. I don't know about that.
You
but
didn't know
did
about
your
it?
Yes, I didn't know about that. But did your? I'm not denying the fact that I've lived in border towns and I know I've crossed after school. I've walked across the mountain, got into Togo and got back. You get it? If it's happened, so it's there. It can be done. And I know too that the police and the other immigration and patrol such unapproved routes and sometimes arrest people. And so until and unless you can tell us that your reporter got factual figures that 20 people crossed a day or whatever.
Even if it's just one person who paid 5 CDs or 10 CDs.
So if
that person may have been infected.
So he has names to that and You get it? I'm not disputing it. There must be, a detailed research issues because it's gonna ruffle feathers as far as the management of these issues are concerned. But the official position of government, the one that government has control over, he said, I'm shutting it and will not allow people to cross until I'm satisfied via the technical committee's report that you can go ahead now. I've had friends elsewhere outside. Even yesterday, were telling me at long last, long overdue, as lawyer used. These friends of mine in the States, the UK, are making it's long overdue. But you see, I've had certain testimonies, that people, flights coming down to Ghana, they were very particular when you want to board flights to Ghana. The aircraft will tell you no. Until you satisfy that 72-hour whatever, they will not allow you to board their flight to Ghana. Because the authorities have made the rules clear. And they were following that stricto sensu. So why should that be a problem? Because we're protecting our people. Okay? And so if Frontier Health Services also doing its work very well. And I was happy when you asked lawyer, 120 million revenue generated. What is the operational cost out of that? And how much is being given to Ghana Airport Authority, and which amount maybe could have even paid this electricity bill and over. You get it? And so it's pure business that the people did. But I believe, as the president said yesterday, they had to get their own equipment and go and set it up. The state, and at the time, let me disagree. Maybe lawyer may disagree with me, but I disagree with. Do you know why? At the time, Noguchi had his hands full.
Did they?
Yes.
But we heard from them.
Noguchi was working everywhere.
We heard from them, and they said they were upset
this
about...
Franceman Professor
George.
Noguchi. I happened to... Yes, Professor Ampofweko. I've been in meetings with them. And they did extremely well, okay? At that time, yes, they have the technical know-how. They have the expertise.
But they
were working on the national course.
So they told the COVID
No,
task
I
force...
knew at that point they had their hands full.
George, hold on. Did the COVID task force even find out from them if they could offer the services at the airport for them to tell you that their hands were full?
Part of that technical...
No, you're not answering my question.
I am saying at that time their hands were full.
And they told government for a fact that they would not be able to offer.
No. Listen, Professor Ampofu, I don't know, he's one of the key people at Noguchi, was part of that technical listing. He's there. He could have made a case that, look, we can take that up. They could have done that.
He did?
But because their hands were full.
And he said it for a fact that
he didn't say. No, I'm saying he's part of that. And so if they could have taken it up easily, as lawyer wants us to believe, he could have made a case for Noguchi. Because he's part of the technical
committee. Some of them spoke to the media and said that they would have wanted to conduct the test at the airport. But they didn't understand why it was given to Frontier's Healthcare.
Yeah, because their hands were full. They were responsible for the national issues as far as COVID was concerned.
But the airport is also national, is it not?
Okay? No. So focus on the broader thing, house, contact tracing, all those things, they were involved in it. So as Wink takes up the airport responsibility and let it go, were they able to deliver? Okay? Were their services satisfactory? That is what we should be interrogating.
But
or they did a floppy job.
Before that, George,
nobody can say that.
If their hands were full,
yes.
How did they get extra staff to even train the Frontier staff? Because they could have said that they were too busy with a national testing regime, and so would not have enough men to go and even test the
No,
staff.
training, how long is it going to take to train people? Okay, getting dedicated staff to train some people for 1 week, 2 weeks. It's not, like taking up the responsibility yourself. Okay, additional responsibility when you have a primary focus to attend to. Okay, that is my argument. Okay, so I thought the Frontier Health Solutions is done a phenomenal job, a fantastic job, and giving a lot of credit to our airports as far as arrival and takeoffs were concerned. If you don't meet the standards, no plane is ready to bring you. You get it?
How did they get the deal?
That's another matter that lawyer was interrogated. It can be interrogated.
It's not just
another
lawyer. We all
matter.
want to know.
No problem. You'll get the answers.
How did they get the deal?
You'll get the answers in due course.
We want the answer now.
Don't worry.
George.
Now, I don't want to limit
is it
my
that
whole
you don't
conversation.
know?
No.
Or you know, but you are refusing to
what
tell us?
happened yesterday is broader than just Frontiers. I'm happy, excited that the president, what he did yesterday was accounting to the people on COVID expenditure and co. He did that.
Was he?
He did that. Yes. Mention figures. Okay, 2.4 million people, tested, and 160,992 of them testing positive. 1,445 losing their lives, unfortunately.
We were buying vaccines at almost double the price. He did not account for that. So if you say he was accounting
virtually,
for it,
we
still do not know.
Virtually accounting.
We still do not know.
So certain figures
why
they bandied about 450 million from World Bank, IMF, and co. Look at the figures that were being mentioned, okay? And as far as, supporting households with water, electricity, and all that is concerned. And then let me touch on I was happy you answered, lawyer, on the 54 million. Yes, 54 dry food. The cooked food was 12.5 million. Okay, then the rest goes for the dry foods and all that to support the aged and the vulnerable. Okay, I was part of it. We moved from house to house across. And so we saw people who were really suffering and needed those helps. Okay, and so the president has said it, and he said it in yesterday's statement, that God forbid, but given the chance, he will repeat what happened.
54 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Not too high.
No.
For how many people exactly?
Across the Greater Accra and contiguous districts, and then Greater Kumasi and contiguous districts are joining, and Greater Accra with Kasua and all that.
But how many
and the
people
number
in total received
number of
this?
people involved is huge. In the food distribution, I think the minister had said about 2.4, 2.5 million people were given. Okay? Now, when you statistically making such counts, if lawyer Edwiji Tamakro comes for it today, and he comes for it tomorrow, he's going to be counted 3. Okay, so you don't say it's the same lawyer Edwiji, but every day he goes for it. So you keep counting that. The statistician will tell you that is how the count is done. And so that's how sometimes you say health insurance services given to over 28 million people as of a certain time. Meanwhile, at that time, the Ghanaian population was not to that number. You get it? And it's because of the nature of the count. Okay, so I thought yesterday the president was straightforward and touched on salient issues. And I'm excited about the border opening. And then the removal of restrictions, Executive Instrument 64, and to allow people to go about their normal duties. But having said that, I listened to your colleague journalist on another station saying in UAE, he happened to be there. They had lifted all these restrictions and co. But the people, for precautionary reasons, we're still using them, trying to save themselves. It doesn't mean COVID is gone completely. It's there. So you should now take responsibility for your acts and your conduct so that we can make progress. COVID is giving us a devastating blow. We need to rebuild from the ravages. And the president has said he doesn't know how to bring back lives, but what he does know is how to rebuild the economy. And the finance minister said it, that we did it in 2001. We did it when we took over in 2017, and we're going to do it now. All we want from the Ghanaian, as the president said, is trust and confidence and cooperation from the Ghanaian, and we can rebuild our economy.
When are we going to get an account of why and how we almost spent about $19 per vaccine, Sputnik V, when it was going for $10. I mean, yes, we have gotten some explanation as to how we tried to get in touch with the Russian government,
United States
and
was
that didn't
ready
happen.
and willing to pay
But
$23.
till date, we still do not have
Israel
any
was paying
account
more.
of that.
Good.
When are we going to get that?
No, that
when are we
one-
going to get
that
an
one,
account of
Bella,
how Frontiers also got the deal
these-
to test
these-
at the airport?
These are within the remit of Parliament, Parliamentary Committee on Health. Our brother Kando is an instrumental person there, and they should be able to push for these things to be done. It cannot be, the argument made by Joe Osei-Usu, I had helped, so I'm happy Supreme Court gave that. I had made the argument that they had the right to. When Joe Osei-Usu, he said, the Public Accounts Committee is chaired by the minority. Okay, so what is your problem? Call the officers in charge before you and get those details. So what else is more accountable than that?
But because they are trying to call the health minister to come and account.
You chair the committee, and you can have every document before you. So what's the need for a parallel committee to do what?
But they had called for the health minister to come and account.
So at the right
health
time,
minister says that until Auditor General brings a report to Parliament,
good.
I cannot
So
account.
when the auditor, and are you saying the Auditor General is not going to submit a report? He will. And at that time, you have the power and authority to hold the finance minister before you to explain certain expenditure. Okay? If you don't understand it, because definitely end-year audit report is going to be brought before Parliament. So why are we in a rush? Okay? Unless, of course, yes, it is done. It can be done. The finance minister, in between times, can come before Parliament to account for certain expenditure, so that maybe he wants renewal or update or addition is to what he's expended. Okay? Then the Parliament will say, to give you that addition, you need to justify what you've expended, right? And so these things are done. If he's not coming for that and he says, wait, let the audit report come and we can respond to all these. Why? Our figures here, the president mentioned figures yesterday. A lot of figures, 1.6, 1.9 billion and all that. Okay?
Some on PPE.
Yes, 81 million on PPEs and all that. Okay? And the job opportunities it created for our local industries and all that. So, yes, it was devastated and we need to rebuild from the ravages. But there were other opportunities that showed us, using distance learning, other opportunities, getting our students to prepare well and what lawyer said, in between that, we're doing the NIA registration and all that, okay, to build our nation. The nation didn't have to grind to a halt because there was COVID. I thought the management under the leadership of the president of COVID was excellent, but the ravages too was very devastating. But we can still build from the ashes of that.
I'm coming to Lawyer Dizzy now, but just to put this into perspective. So this was on the 13th of July, 2020, after another media house, Joy FM, had also done an expose on the bribery at the borders, the land borders. And so the immigration responded and said that 5 immigration officers who were serving at the Aflao Sector Command in Ketu South Municipality of the Volta region had been interdicted for allegedly taking bribes and facilitating illegal entries. So there is video footage of them actually taking. I watched it myself. So if you're asking for numbers exactly, there was evidence of them
I had admitted
taking some money at the borders.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not good. I've lived in
but you were saying that a journalist should be able to give you a number of people
the
who were able
details
to
of that,
enter.
yes.
Well,
once you have
so
the video evidence for that,
investigating.
and then there are people interdicted on that score, I give it to you.
Okay, lawyer, back to you. So he says that at the right time, when the Auditor General brings the report.
And you asked a very, very, very brilliant question. You see, as we speak, has the Auditor General himself audited the COVID funds? No. Remember that Domelevo had given a hint of a special audit of COVID expenses. Just around the time that he gave that hint of a special audit of COVID expenses, that was when they brought about this issue that, okay, he's aged, he's past the retirement age, issues about Togolese parentage, issues about his age, among other things, and then eventually got him out. At that time...
Was he above?
Obviously, that's a different conversation. But you see, around that time, government operatives were obviously worried that a special audit into COVID expenses was going to expose the grand theft of COVID funds. Look, if you look at the 2021 mid-year budget statement, Appendix 4E, 2021 COVID-19 expenditure allocations and utilization as at June 2021. And this is recorded in the 2021 mid-year fiscal policy review. Government is telling us that they spent 598 million Ghana cedis. At that time, $100 million. Now look what they claim they used the money for. Payment for the supply of nose masks, sanitizers, Veronica buckets, paper towels for mass school reopening. 592 million Ghana cedis. That's how much government claim they use on nose masks, all of this, for school reopening. Meanwhile, for the purposes of opening or reopening these schools, even parents were made to even give, nose masks to their kids. And if you look at the record, the same government now claims that on the same media budget statement, and I want to read so that this government's own figures, that they gave 36 million Ghana cedis. And look at the reason for the payment, details of expenditure. Payments, that's 36 million Ghana cedis for this. Payment for consultancy fees, design, project management, and coordination of Agenda 111 projects. Just consultancy fee, 36 million Ghana cedis. And so if you pick item by item, the amount of money that this government claimed they had expended on COVID in millions of Ghana cedis. And look, you see, Bella, you recall that before H.E. John Dramani Mahama left office, we had accumulated about $274 million in the stabilization fund. So when COVID came, we said, look, emergency situation, unplanned, what have you. So government went back to Parliament. Parliament gave approval. They took $200 million from the stabilization fund. At the exchange rate, it gave them 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Of this amount, it coincided with the 2020 election. So in the name of giving support to market women and others, government basically doled out 600 million. You can't account for it. You can't even account for it, Bella.
How so?
No, they were basically giving it on tabletop for the purpose of the election.
So it can't be
accounted.
But they know how much they took out of it.
No, that is why I'm saying that they took $200 million. At the exchange rate, it gave them 1.2 billion. Of this amount, 600 of it was basically to just hand out. And it coincided with the election.
To support these market
They
women?
claimed to support these market women. Whatever that meant, only government knew. But even more striking is that government said they spent over 200 million Ghana cedis for insurance for health workers, among other things. Bella, do you know that of that 200 million, 10 million Ghana cedis was given to enterprise insurance as insurance premium?
Insurance premium?
Yes. Okay. A company that the finance minister is a beneficial owner. Who does that? 10 million. And I'm putting it on record. No, hold on. 10 million as insurance payment premium to enterprise. So you have a finance minister who sits in there, does the payment, and basically is paying his own company. And you see, Bella, we have kept raising the issue about the finance minister's direct involvement in some of the public finances and the role and manner in which companies associated with him or companies that he is a beneficial owner are directly benefiting from payments coming from him. And these things, it is getting worrying to the point that, look, if you have a situation where a finance minister becomes, he becomes finance minister, and within 5 years, we have borrowed $13 billion from Eurobond alone. As for domestic, this thing is not even there. And you have his own company advising him on it at a percentage. The question, therefore, will be, what then becomes the motivation for the increased borrowing? There's no check, Bella. And I'm asking a simple question. Imagine H.E. John Dramani Mahama as president. Then he takes his brother Ibrahim Mahama as finance minister. Ibrahim has a company. And that company advises Ibrahim on how much he borrows every time. And Ibrahim now pays his own company a commission. Who does that? And this is the president who said, if you want to make money, don't join his administration. Be with your private thing. Does that principle apply to Finance Minister Ken? Do you know that Ken has done it? The person who was his deputy now elevated to the status of Minister of Health.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Minister of State
in charge of finance.
Finance.
A brilliant young man.
He's so brilliant in using his company, in getting percentages. That's so much brilliance. And the point I'm making is that the two persons managing our finance ministry have company that directly they are paying. I mean, who does this? If these people want to do business, stay in your business area. Bid for government projects and contracts. I have no problem with it. But you become a minister of state in charge of the finance ministry. You have your company advising you on how much bonds you take. And at the end of the day, you pay that company percentages. I mean, it's so unfair. It's so unethical. And this is how you have run this company or this, administration into a ditch. It is not fair.
Let me bring George in, because even this
George,
issue
it's
about
not fair.
insurance for health professionals, frontline health workers,
Yeah.
I know some who are constantly on my neck saying that we never got or received the insurance. In fact, when we got infected, and these are people who were doing tests, at some of the big institutions, when we got infected, even 2 times, we had to pay for our own medical bills, we had to buy our own medicine. They did not give us our insurance up until this point.
Well, that can be interrogated. So the insurance is paid over a period. And so if you submit these things, definitely, once they were insured, it's going to be paid. So
They still haven't received it. They've been asking for it.
They should follow up on it.
But why should they follow up? They were offering a service to government, putting their lives on the
submit certain
line.
details to government. It's not going to be a carte blanche thing that because you were insured, when you were actually infected and put the records there and it will be followed.
They put all those records there, George.
Then they will be paid. Don't worry.
When?
The Bible says though it tarries, it definitely shall happen, right? So don't worry. Now let me ask the learned lawyer that under the administration of H.E. John Dramani Mahama, did they at any point in time contract Data Bank to do any loan these things for them? Did they? They trusted Data Bank so much and used their services. It's on record. Data Bank operated as far as government loans and other things were concerned. The government under President Mahama contracted services of Data Bank. Why?
Okay, your point
So
exactly.
you are saying that under that administration, Data Bank will work. Today, Data Bank cannot work. Even when Ken Ofori-Atta, the founder.
No, but
let me
But Ken
finish.
Ofori-Atta is
No,
not
I'm
a
coming.
brother to former President John Dramani Mahama.
No, let me come. I'm bringing it. Even when he has resigned.
No,
Okay,
he's still the
as a director of the company.
But you see, per the company,
Conflict of interest
he remains,
matters.
No, he remains the beneficial
You are a lawyer.
owner.
You know.
He's the beneficial owner.
Even though he
You
has
are a lawyer.
resigned.
You know these
You know the
things.
principle.
Again, let
Is
me
he
ask
still a
lawyer.
beneficial
Yeah, he's the
owner, even though he
beneficial
has
owner.
resigned?
He has resigned as a director.
But is he still a
if the
beneficial
company is-
owner?
He's ceded whatever
But he's the
administrative and
beneficial
other things
owner.
to
So
other
he doesn't
people.
benefit anything from the company?
As of now, he may not benefit, but it doesn't mean the company is not his. Okay? So I cannot conclusively say he's benefiting directly as of now. Because the laws of Ghana says you shouldn't have interest as of the time when you are
But
taking
you're saying
this
that you cannot say for a
responsibility.
fact that it is not his. So he still owns
Yes,
the company.
yes,
beneficial owner.
He's still
He
the
still
owner.
owns it.
But as to whether direct benefits therein, he may not be getting
But
it
if you're
in
the
between
owner,
this
you
time.
will certainly make
No,
benefits.
what's important? No, what's important as the owner is to ensure that the company is on its foot and running. You get it? Maybe dividends and others will not be paid to you because of the position you occupy. So he's given some other people who are managing it. Okay. Again, let me ask.
So he
lawyer.
doesn't receive any amount at all.
You
Is that what you're
cannot
saying?
say that. Because I know some companies elsewhere where the owners at points like this take maybe $1 as their benefits to show that they own the company. Okay, so that it will be on records.
Okay.
So these things happen. Now I asked lawyer. He's a lawyer. Is he saying that when he takes a case When his SHE, John Dramani Mahama was president, he was practicing as a lawyer, and he leads the NDC team, legal, and there's a commission or a payment. Does he take it or he doesn't take it?
But he's not the brother. He's not the brother of former President Dramani Mahama.
You get
We're
it.
talking
No,
about
he has an interest.
We're talking about close
But let me
family
finish.
relations.
Let's come to the brother. You see, I love
Okay.
Ibrahim Mahama so much from a distance. He's one person I admire and like because of his industrious nature and creating job opportunities for young people. Okay, I love the guy from a distance.
Okay.
Look, what happened when there was change in government? These ports, duty payments and co. How many checks were bounced from him? Okay, so I normally don't want to get into tango matters of Ibrahim Mahama because I like the guy, what he's doing for Ghana. I love it.
I'm trying to understand the correlation.
Yes,
Please
no,
tell me.
you remember? No, that's correct. That's,
George.
I'm saying if you don't pay duties to the state and you give debt checks, what for? What are you doing? Because the argument then was that if his brother had won the election, he wasn't going to pay those duties.
Oh, how?
Okay?
George,
That's where they act because he wasn't paying them
No.
in any case.
No.
He wasn't paying
No.
them in any
No.
case.
You say
okay?
custom-
No,
No,
let me
George.
finish.
Lawyer, I'll let you come in.
When his
You let
brother
him
was
land.
So that
president,
this
he
one
never
that
paid a dime of
Lawyer,
those
let him
fees.
land.
Okay?
Let
Let him land.
They
Let
had
George land.
moved over a period, 1 or 2 years. Okay? He had not paid. Maybe he had the intention to pay. I'm not going to begrudge him. But he didn't pay as of the time there was a change in government. And when he was asked to pay, he issued checks that were done. Okay? So what are we talking about? Okay? So let's not, get into those things. And you remember a time when there was a kifit. Nima, Newtown, thereabout. Look at the contingent, a battalion from the Burma camp. Where with you? What's that? Was it part of abuse of office? Let me tell you a story, Lee Kuan Yew's story. One of the issues, an officer got a holiday trip outside the country. When he came back, he was charged for corruption. He didn't take bribe, nothing. He took a holiday offer from a business that was in the country.
Yeah.
The fight against corruption. That's the argument that somebody is making, that we should fight it from the top. And
Are
I
we-
agree.
are we really fighting
1,000%.
it?
Yes, I agree. We should fight it from
Are
the
we
top. I have
fighting
read
it?
Lee Kuan Yew's third world to first world.
Are we
And
fighting it?
we are doing, we are
You
on.
There have been
You
so
are
many
on.
cases
You are
against
on this
We are
government
on.
officials
You are
under
on. We are
your
on.
tenure.
No, we are on.
How
We are
many
on.
of them have been prosecuted?
Committees have been set, bipartisan committees and co, and dealt with some of these things. Okay,
Dealt with which ones exactly?
I wouldn't say all of us are satisfied with some of the responses. No, even me in government, I am not satisfied with some of the responses. I will admit that. Okay, because I thought when we do these investigations, we should make it public. Because as part of the spirit of fighting corruption, let people see that this is what we did and this is the outcome. If they disagree, let them put
The PPA boss is yet to be prosecuted, even though Shraj has put out enough evidence.
and a lot of things. I think charges have been preferred against him and all
No,
that. So
no charges.
no, recently, what was
No
it?
charges.
A certain million. He's to refund some amount to
That's
the state.
But refunding
Yes.
money is different from being prosecuted.
Good.
for
So when
allegedly
yes,
stealing
yes.
state
So
funds.
once there's evidence that certain amounts he shortchanged the states, now hereafter lawyers can then move on to call for prosecution because there's evidence, a case against him. A case has been established against him by Shraj. So we can proceed if we so desire as a government and as a state or a people. So
Okay.
there are people who can take up that. So the issue of data bank and enterprise insurance doesn't mean that they shouldn't work because of my industrious nature as an individual. I've established a company. The company is doing well. The government feels because of my intellect and knowledge and expertise, they want me to come and serve in government. I must close down my company.
Not closed down, but could we not have given this
And does it
to
mean that
another insurance company?
There are competitive bidding. Is there evidence that there was
So
no
was
competitive? Is there evidence? Lawyer hasn't adduced any evidence that there was no competitive bidding.
And so this
for
was not a
those
case of sole
states
sourcing
thing.
or any of that?
No, but the law allows sole sourcing
It does,
sometimes.
but that's what I'm asking.
So
That
once
was
he's
this a
gone
case?
through the processes and won this thing, but let me put a caveat here.
Was it
let me
sole
put,
sourcing
No,
or
no,
not?
let me put a caveat here.
George, you
I
haven't
agree.
answered.
No,
Do
no.
you know?
What I'm going to say is good for all of us. The caveat I'm going to put, I would rather, there are certain bits that if we're listed, that other companies did it would have been maybe preferable. For instance, I am all out for this MIIF this day. But that young man, people make the argument he can do it, Osaf Mafo's son. But because of who he is, you get it. It could have been sometimes to avoid the coca and others. We could have avoided.
My time is up. We have to go, but he just wanted to respond to the claim that was made quickly, and then we go.
Issue. You note that custom has a regime that allows you to pay by way of issuance of checks.
Yes.
Those checks were not issued after the NDC laws. That arrangement had always existed with custom, and they have dealt with Ibrahim on that score. In fact, as I speak to you, those payments have actually been made. I don't see how that is.
So why were they bounced?
I don't see how. I mean, I can issue a check to you, and for whatever reason, it will bounce. What has that got to do with the finance minister and his co-finance minister, Charles, getting involved in over 13 billion?
Are they the
dollar worth of bonds?
But George made a statement that what's the guarantee that this would have even seen the light of day if former President Mahama had retained his presidency? Because would he have still paid, or if it bounced?
No, these are checks.
Would we have covered up?
Yes, no. How could they have covered up?
Okay.
Because
that's all I want to ask from you.
The example we saw doesn't justify what you're saying.
We have to go.
It doesn't support what you're saying.
We have to go.
It doesn't
Thank you so much, Mr. Edudi Tamaklo, a member of the
I love Ibrahim, so it pays me.
and Mr. George Ayisi is the Director of Communications for the NPP. Well, remember that COVID protocols regarding wearing of nose masks have been lifted, so you can go out there, but just make sure that you are maintaining hand hygiene and maintaining social distancing. Happy 20th wedding anniversary to Mr. Godwin Weah and Mrs. Diana Weah. God bless you. This is from Mavis. And to everyone else who's celebrating their birthday, happy birthday to you. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. And like I said, the artist of the year, Kiddy, will be joining us this morning on the show. And also Black Sheriff will be here. Which of their songs do you like? We'll be right back with some more exclusives. And belated happy birthday to broadcast journalist Fauzu Masawudu. God bless you. We'll be back with more.